Hope you guys can hear me in the chat. Just let me know if you're able to hear me all right. And this is a new article actually published on The Guardian, of all places. And this is so surprising. This is probably going to shock a lot of people. But this new article actually states something quite interesting, and that is we have Generation Z, we have more to do than drink and take drugs. So guys, let's look at the article together because this is unbelievable. I've talked about the fact that Generation Z is such a very different generation from the millennials, but it is quite significant. In this picture, you see young people using their cell phones, presumably from the Generation Z era. But here's something interesting about that. Even though Generation Z will use technology, they're also shunning technology. They're shunning social media. They're putting down their phones to have conversations with each other. They are less addicted to their phones. They're less addicted to than millennials. Millennials are severely more. These are statistical findings. Millennials are statistically more addicted to technology, to their iPad, to their phone, to all of it. In fact, if you take away a millennial's device, it creates a bout of anxiety. While Generation Z wants to meet in face, they don't want to do online dating. They want to meet people in person, talk with each other in person, build actual strong relationships. It's so unbelievable. We initially thought that initially it was believed that Generation Z was the most conservative generation since the silent generation, the parents of the boomers. Then we said, yeah, they're more conservative than the parents of the boomers. They're more conservative than the parent. They're maybe as conservative as the parents of the silent generation that goes back to the 1800s. Well, think again, because Generation Z is basically drinking less than any generation before them. They're drinking less than any generation before them. They're they're consuming they are shunning drugs. And a lot of this, I believe, has to do with what's happened with the millennials, especially. They're looking at us. They're looking at us. They're looking at the boomers, and they're saying, "Nope." So they are, and guys, and they're not getting it like the crazy amounts of financial debt that we're in today as millennials. They're not taking it on. Many of them are shunning that as well, which is good for them. Good for them. That's right, kids. School is not a place for smart people. So post millennials have very different attitudes to older age groups, says a new report. Okay, very different. They drink less, take far fewer drugs, and have made teenage pregnancy a near anomaly. Okay, this is the one, guys. This generation is amazing. Generation Z, one of the several terms used to describe post-millennial youths born after 1996, prefer juice bars to pub crawls, rank quality family time ahead of sex, and prioritize good grades before friendship, at least according to a report published by the British Pregnancy Advisory Service last week. Unbelievable. An onslaught of sneering headlines followed, characteristics today's youth as boring, sensible, and hopelessly screen addicted. So are the kids all right? This is actually a quote. "We have so much more to do than drink and take drugs," says Demi Balboa, a 19-year-old philosophy and sociology student. "I'm not surprised those statistics shows that's the case. It makes sense. We have a lot more to distract us now." What's your biggest? I mean, guys, this is serious. So, what is the biggest attention stealer? Social media, but at the same time, not the social media that we're used to. Okay, Balboa toggles between Snapchat, Twitter, and Instagram. Although she rolls her eyes at the mention of Facebook, full of its older people. So, guys, they use WhatsApp, they use Snapchat, they use these things to stay in touch quickly. They use micro-blogging platforms like Twitter not to spend their entire lives sending out messages, but to get things done quickly. They get to the point and then they actually talk to each other. They're not using WhatsApp to avoid face contact. They're staying far away from Facebook and not putting their entire lives on Facebook because they honestly don't trust it. And also they don't want to be depressed constantly like us millennials. I mean, it's unbelievable. Okay, and Facebook is well aware of what's happening with Gen Z. Instead, what they're actually doing is they're just doubling down on the millennials. All right, and by the way, and by the way, Gen Z, how dare you? What do you mean by old people? What do you mean by old people? Huh? All right. Are you trying to say that? You're trying to say that I'm one of those old people, bro, bro. This is the one thing that I'm like so sad about. Like Generation Z, they're not being real nice. Like I thought Generation Z might, not completely I don't know. I thought that they wouldn't blame us for all the bad things and like basically say, the boomer, it's from other generations, but it seems like they're really kind of looking at us like, you know yeah, we're not so fond of you guys either. Like, come on, listen, Gen Z, you are our little brothers and little sisters, all right? You're our little brothers and little sisters. We love you guys. A lot of things happened the last couple of years through no fault of our own. Well, last couple of decades through no fault of our own. And I know, guys, it sounds. Listen, we've had a tough run, man. We've had a tough run. So please, Gen Z, don't have some empathy for us millennials, all right? Please have some empathy for us. We didn't create this mess. There are those amongst us that have tried and we weren't able to resolve it. But you know what? That doesn't listen, Gen Z, we can change. Dear Gen Z, we could change. We can change, okay? We can change, Gen Z. Look at me. I'm a good guy. Listen, all right, people who call themselves good people aren't really that good. Listen, at the end of the day, I'm not all that horrible, and there's those amongst us that aren't all that bad. So I'm just asking Gen Z to, as they take power, because us millennials aren't taking over anything, as Gen Z takes power and control of the world, Generation Sensible, please, please be empathetic to your older siblings that have had a kind of rough ride for a while. Uh, eh, yeah, this isn't gonna work. I'm just telling y'all right now, Gen Z is not gonna hook us up. I'm just gonna be honest. Like if y'all are out there thinking Gen Z is gonna hook you up, Gen Z is not hooking us up. They're not gonna give us handouts. They're not gonna pay us and give us any the food stamps and the social security. They're gonna look at us like we're crazy. They're gonna look at us like we are crazy. Y'all, listen. If you are what millennial, and another thing is Gen Z is investing in cryptocurrency faster than any other generation. A lot of millennials are actually struggling to understand cryptocurrency. And I've actually come across this where I've talked to other millennials and they struggle to understand cryptocurrency. In fact, I've seen a lot of millennials who who know less about crypto than people in older generations. And it's interesting because I don't know what the heck is going on, but I don't know, but they are struggling. Millennials are really struggling with everything. It's like even basic common sense, many of them are struggling with like, basic arithmetic, basic math, basic logic. They're struggling to grasp these concepts, which is really difficult to watch, to see my generation who should be, pouring themselves in new technology, literally having a hard time adding numbers together. Gen Z, on the other hand, is not having that problem. Gen Z is doing financial accounting as we speak. All right, Gen Z doesn't need college. Gen Z is ready to go. Here's a comment that one said: "Going out takes a lot of effort. All right, it's boring, repetitive, and expensive. Obviously, I used to go out a lot in my first year at university, but now we do more kickbacks." What are kickbacks? Basically, you get together with a bunch of friends, you relax, you talk, you share your feelings, and you don't do drugs or drink. Okay? It's amazing. Can you imagine like hanging out with friends and just like people did in the old days and just talking about life, studying together and building real relationships, and none of this is fueled over binge drinking? Yep. you know at first, and Gen Z is also so sensible because while us millennials, we went to college for other reasons. Gen Z is actually focused, those who go to college, most of the Generation Z students that are going, a lot of them, there's still some who have millennial traits, but a lot of Gen Zers who are going to college are actually taking majors that make sense. Like they're going into medicine or something, or engineer. They're not doing what we did. They're not taking they're not taking they're not taking prehistoric alien dance studies. I don't know, man. Like they're not taking these crazy subjects. Okay, I mean, it's just truly unbelievable. I mean, Demi Balboa says she and her friends enjoy kickbacks together. Kickbacks, guys, not drugs. They're aware from an early age of how they are portrayed online and offline, so they curate themselves in a more conservative way. She says, in other words, no one wants to be publicly shamed, getting messy, or being recklessly daft. So while us millennials put our entire lives online, we literally we literally give away our location wherever we are. We're like, oh yeah, like we can't go to the movies without saying, oh, I just went to the movies. And it doesn't make any sense that you just told everyone. Why are you broadcasting your location? In fact, this actually came up when Mark Zuckerberg went before Congress recently. I don't know if it was the first time or the second time. I think it was the second. I don't know. He's been before Congress like twice now, I think. I think it was the first time he was asked a question by I think I forget if it was a House of Rep or the senator. They asked him, Mr. Zuckerberg, would you feel comfortable sharing with us the hotel that you stayed at last night? And he goes, no, I would not feel comfortable sharing that information with you. And then and then the legislator responds, really? So why is it that you think it's suitable for over 1 billion people to share their locations at any given time on your social network platform? And he basically just went into his tangent of, well, we give people choices and options. Guys, this is getting out of control. Clara, 22, who grew up in Devon and is in her final year of University of Arts in London, points out that one size doesn't fit all. She still goes out. She believes her generation is unfairly judged and that it reports levels of stress and depression that are higher than ever because of the economic, political, and state of the world that it has inherited. That's another thing. They're angry. Generation Z is really, really angry. They're angry at future. They're angry at the older generations. Not so much Generation X. Generation X are the parents of Gen Z. Actually, this really came back to bite everyone. Like, Gen Z was raised, Gen Z are the children of Generation X. And they don't like, they basically don't like the millennials or our parents. They're not fans of us. They look at us and they see us as brainwashed zombies that can't accomplish anything in life and are pretty much tapped out entirely. Like we're pretty much done. And they don't want to be like us. They just look, guys, they look out the window. They don't even want to turn on the television because they don't even want to see us. Like literally they're retreating into Fortnite. They're retreating into virtual worlds to avoid to avoid the nonsense that's happening. They won't watch TV. They're very, very, the kinds of social media that they're using are not the kinds of social media that we typically use. So Facebook is something that you spend all your time on. WhatsApp is just a means of communicating quickly with someone like, hey, do you want to meet and go here? Or Snapchat, sending a picture, but not spending all your time talking to that person. If you want to talk to them, you'll call them afterwards, all right? Ultimately, they found ways of cutting back on social media. They enjoy communication. They love communication, but they don't want to do it. They don't want to primarily do it over technology. Technology is just there to complement their lives, not to rule over it. Amelia Coulthard, a 22-year-old graduate from Leicester, and Maya Owen Morrow, a 17-year-old A-level student from North London, both agree. At my age, my parents and my grandparents own their own homes, says Collard. I don't go out clubbing. I know my limits. I go to friends' houses for kickbacks again. But I have to prioritize my career goals because it's a lot harder to achieve what I want. So Gen Z, again, they're not messing around. They're not crying or complaining. They're taking whatever job they can get. They're going out there while millennials are talking about how harsh things are, and they really are bad for us. Gen Z is like, nope, nope. They're not arguing. They're not arguing with anyone. They're not crying about problems. Their parents, the Generation X, let them know. Listen, if you don't, the world is not easy. The world doesn't owe you anything. You are not entitled to anything. And if you want something, you're going to have to work for it. If you don't take the job, somebody else will. Okay, they are a truly remarkable generation. And the only thing that I can say that I don't like is the fact that I don't feel like a lot of Generation Z is empathetic towards the situation and the circumstances that we're currently in. Oh, Gio's in the chat. Hey, bro. I didn't even notice. Angry Gio. I'll just leave it in the chat. Okay. So if you want to send me an email, it's right there. Angry. All right, bro. Yeah, Gio. So I just actually put my email address in the chat for you, so you can send me that email. Sacha says millennials are okay. I won't reach that. So yeah, guys, this is like, I mean, like, it's just becoming extremely overwhelming when you watch the pattern and the how the millennial generation is falling and continuing to essentially drop out of society. All right. I mean, guys, I just don't know what else to say. It's do monogamous relationships uphold any appeal? I mean, guys, here's what's happening with Gen Z. They're not rapidly getting married, although they are, and they will get married. But a lot among Gen Z are settling into more. They're kind of doing away with marriage too. So let me explain. They're the most conservative generation in history, but there's also a lot of Gen Zers who don't see marriage as they basically don't see marriage as something that happens between two people. They see it as something that happens between two people and the state. They've looked at their parents, they've looked at us millennials, they've looked, and they're like, yeah, that's not for us. So they're establishing relationships. They are monogamous, but they're not falling into the social trap of getting married and putting a label on it. All right. They're taking full control of their own lives and living their lives the way they choose to live them, and they're not bothering anyone along the way. Guys, look at this. Look at what this woman says. I try to avoid labels. Being a black girl means society already has certain stereotypes that are expected, like I should be outspoken or sassy or loud, like certain music. Another eye roll. It's restricting. That's another thing, guys. So guys, while we're out here, like these things are happening around, like, in the United States, unrest and all this stuff, Gen Z is completely getting rid of labels. So for example, this is just mind-blowing. So while millennials, we love our labels, boomers, they love their labels, Gen Z is not even, they're completely getting rid of labels. They're not even adhering to labels that describe ethnicity. Instead, they go by culture. So they don't identify as black, they identify as an American, or they identify as a Canadian, or they identify as a Brit. Okay, they don't constrain themselves to the idealisms and the beliefs and any of that nonsense from our generation. They're leaving it all behind. They roll their eyes on everything. They think it's all one big joke. All right. They're like, everything that's happened with the millennial, they're like, yeah, miss me with that. This is literally what Generation is saying. Generation Z right now is literally out here like, yeah, miss me with that. Miss me with that. Like, just like that. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Statistics show that smoking, drinking, and clubbing are in decline for today's young people. Okay, I mean, it is unbelievable. Generation Zers, after all, will be living longer and more healthy lives and looking better for it. So Generation Z, I actually talked about this. A large portion of Generation Z is actually going to live into the year 2100. So yeah, they're going to live into the 22nd century. A significant portion of Gen Z will live into the 22nd century. You're going to say, how is that even possible? Because we're just entering 2020, so that's 80 years from now. It's quite simple. Japan has one of the largest centurion populations in the world. This is nothing new for Japan. In fact, in Japan, you actually have more older people than younger people now, a very big problem. And more people die in Japan every year than are born every year, significantly. So their population has been rapidly declining. What we're no The reason why I use that as an example, the reason why I give you Japan as an example in reference to what's happening with Generation Z is that because of the way that they're living their lives, they're living healthier lives. It is expected that many of them will not only hit 100 years old, but well above that. Generation Z may potentially be the first generation to live to naturally live to 120 and beyond. Okay, but of course the iron and now here's something that should also surprise you. Next year, Generation Z in 2020 will overtake millennials as the largest generation in the world. How is this possible? Because because Generation Z has been born for a while already, right? So how is it that is it that their population is growing? Mm-mm. Gen Z's population isn't getting bigger because they've already all been born. Oh no, it's actually something completely different. What's happening is that the millennial population worldwide is getting smaller. Millennials are actually experiencing higher rates of mortality much faster than boomers. I already told you guys that boomers are going to have a longer lifespan. Millennials are the first generation in potentially the history of the United States to have millennials are the first generation in the history of the United States to have a shorter lifespan than their parents' generation. This is a shorter projected lifespan than their parents' generation. It's something we knew for years, that millennials will have shorter lifespans than the baby boomer generations. If you ask how does this happen, it's because of the quality of life. We're not eating well. We're not living well. We're not able to go to the doctor and self-care. We're eating junk food because we can't afford real food. It's a continuous cycle down for us. And it was said many years ago that we would potentially never recover from the Great Recession because it basically it just wiped us out. And with student loan debt plus that, I mean, guys, there are fewer millennials working now than before the Great Recession. I mean, 2009. And keep in mind, if you go back to 2009, a lot of millennials were still in school in 2009, but I mean, didn't graduate until a few years later, and it's still this severe. It's still this severe. And I've told you guys that homelessness is not fun. Homelessness is no joke. A lot of people think that homelessness is something that you can just do, and it's not. It is. I'm telling you openly right now. Homelessness is one of the most dehumanizing things you can ever experience in your life. It's not something I've said this before that I would not wish it onto I would not wish it onto my worst enemy. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't seem to understand that this is the reality that they're facing. The millennial generation is the largest growing homeless population, period. Largest growing homeless population, period. We are rapidly becoming homeless. We are rapidly buying up these those of us, this whole thing about tiny houses, millennials. I keep telling y'all this, you see it everywhere now about millennials buying tiny houses or living in vans. Guys, what kind of sad lifestyle is this right now? Okay, Cougar Killer says homelessness sucks. Cougar says stop eating McDonald's and start eating healthy. Here's the problem, Cougar. I talked about this in a previous video. Millennials are saying that they can't afford to eat healthy food because it costs too much, and they're not wrong. They're absolutely right. It's true. They can't, guys, they don't have the money to afford healthy foods. They don't have the money to eat meat. If they want to eat meat, they have to eat at McDonald's. They can't go to the store and buy meat. Is for guys. Meat is not for meat is for the wealthy. Are you kidding me? Eat well, Cougar. I'm just being clear. I talked about this in the other video. I don't know if you saw it. Where we talked about why millennials are eating such large amounts of junk food, and the survey said from millennials is because they can't afford it. They cannot afford to buy food that they physically prepare for themselves. It's too expensive. So they have to live off chips. They have to live off as whatever junk food they can eat. Guys, this is basically the same pattern that you see with when you're homeless. So, for example, I talked about this before. Like, most of you listening right now have never experienced eating garbage off the side of the road. I have, and unfortunately, this is essentially where us millennials are headed. Not me, by the grace of God. I'm working hard. I'm out here taking care of my business. But there's a lot of people, a lot of millennials right now who just aren't, as you can see. And I mean, and my heart goes out to them. But I gotta take care of my stuff. I gotta take care of me. And just like those of you listening, gotta take care of you. Timothy, like Tim is taking care of his business. Like Tim is out here taking care of his business like a boss. Timothy Leos is out here. Gen Z Tim is taking care of his business like a boss. You know, I mean, it's just no game. They can go to food. I mean, to be honest with you, Cougar, they can go to food pantries, like where homeless people can go to get food, but it's so hard because the food that you get there is not meat. I've been there, God, bro. They don't give you meat. They give you like canned beans and stuff that like it's not real. Basically, you start eating like a vegan. Okay, if you go to a food pantry, you're gonna become a vegan because that's really all you're getting. They're not giving you a Cornish hen. They're not giving you a slab of meat. That's, like I said, that's for rich people. Okay, that's rich people's food. They're giving you like things that like non-perishables and stuff that most people would never want to eat, which is the reason why they donate it to these pantries. Like, oh, I'm gonna go through my cupboard. Yeah, I'm not gonna eat this. I'm not gonna eat this. Oh gosh, how did this even get in there? This has been in there for like 5 years. Yeah, they can have this. All right, guys, we're generation millennials. We're generation homeless. We're generation homeless. This is, guys, like think about it. When people are going into their cupboards and taking out food and bringing that food, the stuff that they don't want and won't eat, and stuff that's really old, and bringing that to food pantries, and then us millennials have to line up at these food pantries, soup kitchens, and try to get something like. And first off, all the good stuff is going to go, like the peanut butter. Peanut butter is good. The peanut butter is going to go quickly. Guys, the line is so long. You have to wait so long. I mean, it is so hard. And then you carry around this bag of cans and stuff. If you're homeless, where are you supposed to put this stuff? And even if you're not, how are you supposed to prepare this stuff? And the stuff that you have, it's not even stuff that you want to eat. It's like, this tastes gross. Yeah, man. Well, beggars can't be choosers. Bro, this doesn't even have any protein in it. Yeah, man. Protein is for rich people, bro. Protein is for rich people. You just have to survive you just have to do the best you can in these tough economic times. This is the situation right now. Green says the poor can hunt. Unfortunately, Green, I don't know if you realize that everything requires a permit these days. How are you going to hunt if you don't have a permit? Okay. Another very big issue is that millennials are a generation that doesn't really like what's the word? Firearms. So they shun firearms. They shun firearms, and as a result, many of them can't hunt. Guys, like, bro, I mean, like, if you're dealing with someone who has trouble in just the workplace, like, being in the workplace, like just basically interacting. Don't get me wrong, interacting can be a pain for people who have low stuff. Point I'm making is when you consider all the issues that millennials have right now and the other things that they're experiencing in the world, you think these are people that are going to go out hunting? Do you really want millennials hunting? Like, think about this carefully. You have to think before you speak sometimes. Do you really want this generation of millennials? Do you want millennials hunting? Think about the implication of that. Just think about what you're saying. Okay? I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying, turn on the TV first and then think again. This is a truly just bizarre situation. And it just continues to delve further and further into. Green says, they shun firearms, not my fault. Wow. Yeah, guys. Yeah, like I said, man, you know what? I think that God deliberately, like, he let me, I don't know. Maybe I had that horrible experience years ago so I could learn that it's not for me and that I never want to be there again. And I'm on here telling y'all, don't do this. Don't yeah, listen, do what makes you happy. But I'm telling y'all, if that makes you happy, it's only going to be because you don't even know what you're doing. It's only going to be because like, you're on some other stuff. Like you're just like, yeah, like, guys, it's a horrible time right now, and you need to start. If you're a millennial watching, you need to take hold of your life. We actually have a brand new course for you, which is called Making Massive Profit from Mining and Cryptocurrency. This course is extremely extensive, from massive profit from mining cryptocurrency. And basically you're going to learn what mining cryptocurrency is and how mining works. So you get all of that. You get the introduction, and then of course you're going to learn how to decide what mining method is right for you. So you can mine from so many different devices, and you can mine so many different ways, but you have to know this way you don't end up losing all your money. All right. You're going to learn mining methods, most profitable cryptocurrencies for mining. I actually give you the top cryptocurrencies for mining in 2019. I also provide, and how to find others, and also mining mistakes that will financially ruin you and how to avoid them. And of course, there's a bonus section called Mining 2.0 and beyond. Right now, mining, the way that we mine is actually changing. And a lot of people aren't aware that we're entering mining and 2.0 and a beyond stage. If you want to stay up to date with this technology so that you can benefit from it, because by 2030, it is predicted that fiat currency will be gone and crap coins will be how people make their money. All right. That's where you need to go. That's where you want to be. All right. You want to be in that crap coin money. Okay. So you're going to learn how to mine also without ever spending a dime. Okay. So a lot of people sit, without investing in expensive hardware or any of that, you're going to learn that. You're going to learn all of that. Okay. We also have mastering crap coins, how to find crap coins that are going to make you massive profit. Definitely pick that course up. That's actually a course is a G. And then, of course, one of my favorite courses that I want all of you guys to check out is an expat's guide to decentralized banking off the grid living. Because as you can see right now, millennials, they're emptying the bank accounts. The banks are taking all the money out. Like, guys, I told you, you're going to be banging on that bank door like, come on, man, please, I just want $50. I just want $50. And like, it's like, and then you peer through the window, you realize there's no one even in there. Like literally, like, you know what I mean? Like there's a sign on the door that says, come back some other time. You're like, what the heck do you mean come back some other time? You go to, the ATMs are all taped up, out of service. You're like, what the heck is going on? How am I supposed to survive? And that's when it hits you. That, yeah, this is the start of an apocalypse. Not for Gen Z. Gen Z is going to be okay. But this is just the beginning of homelessness. This is potentially the beginning of homelessness for a lot of millennials. Like I told a lot of y'all, homelessness can happen to anyone. And a lot of y'all didn't listen, and that's it. But anyway, one of the best things to do is get your money out of the bank. Go decentralize. Stop using banks. Stop using these services. All right. Start living off the grid. Decentralize yourself from that thing. Take yourself out of that system. I haven't had a bank account in like 2 years. All right. This course, you're going to get everything. I mean, you're going to learn how to do all kinds of banking, only using crypto, using debit cards without having a bank account, powered entirely by crypto, direct deposit to crypto, living on. So basically, you get your paycheck deposited to it. Yes, I take care of you. I hook you up with that. All right, living off the grid using crypto. A lot of y'all are going to be like, oh, how do I get out of this situation? This is how you're going to get out. This is how you prevent the government from taking your money. This is how you prevent the banks from taking all your money, This is how you actually can survive. All right. So you actually have something to stand on top of. Because when you wake up and like the bank, you can't get any money out of the bank. The government's not helping anyone because the government's broke. The government's shut down. The government's closed. The banks are closed. Y'all know the only people that are going to be eating are millennials with crypto and Gen Z because, they're hustlers. I'm just putting it out there like that. All right, guys. Us millennials have no choice but to use crypto, but to decentralize ourselves right now. Are you kidding me? With those crazy amounts of student loan debt that you have around, they're just going to take the money out of your bank accounts, all right? They're just going to empty your accounts. But as soon as you become delinquent, they're not going to, you think that they're going to leave you with money to live on? You think that they're going to say, oh, this poor person only has $100 in his account and he owes us $100,000. We'll leave the $100 and he'll take care of it. No, they're going to take the $100, put it towards the interest and say, hey, man, you still owe us $100,000 plus interest. All right. Real, that's how it is. You learn crypto to cash quick conversion methods and vice versa, withdrawing and depositing thousands per day using crypto, sending and receiving money to and from anywhere in the world, and of course, using crypto. And of course, a bonus section, which is advanced banking without using banks or crypto. Also, we're going to see massive gains in the ICO market as new coins are coming to the market. The problem is a lot of people don't understand that the way you make money from ICOs is not by actually investing in them. You have to understand how they work, all right, to actually make money. And this, we actually have a great course, which is how to make massive profit from ICOs without investing in them. And you're going to learn how to invest in ICO. You're going to learn how to make massive profit from these ICOs without ever spending a dime in them whatsoever. All right. You're going to learn how to avoid, or you're going to learn how to avoid how to take profit while everyone is trying to just get coins. It's an amazing system. So this course you can actually pick up for $2.99. And we have tons of other amazing courses, including Introduction to Cryptocurrency. The reason why I'm telling you all of this is because right now it's not a game. You can find links to cryptomoney.academy in the description video if you want to take a course, but it's not a game, man. It's really not a game. Like, we are in like a harsh situation, a harsh climate, and it doesn't look like Gen Z has our back. I know Tim says that he has my back, but here's the thing. I built a relationship with Tim. I built a relationship with Underdog. I built a relationship with Gen Z, and Gen Z can see that I'm out here hustling. I'm doing my thing. I'm not like others in my generation that are crying, and like I'm functional. Like, I learned my lesson. I'm not like that. So I believe that I have a place in the future, but so I think I'll be all right. But when it comes to the rest of my generation, yeah, I'm just saying, like, if I told y'all a while ago, y'all don't want to do homelessness in Southern California, but some of y'all didn't want to listen to me, and now it's gonna, now you're gonna have to live with it yourself. Anyway, let me read some of these comments. Angry, you should still invest in stocks and bonds, and yes, your favorite crypto. Green Revolt. Actually, it's funny that you say. It's funny that you bring up. It's funny that you actually bring that up, because I do invest in stocks right now. But what I do is I invest using cryptocurrency. This way, they can't lock me into the system. A lot of people don't know this, but you can now invest in stocks using cryptocurrency, and then you could even use that system to take money out of an ATM. So you basically end up convert your stocks to crypto and take your money out right at an ATM. It's a pretty amazing thing, and a lot of people don't know that. We just dropped a new course. I think it was last week, and you can pick up the course for $2.99. It actually talks about how to use crypto to make massive profit and convert stocks to cash instantly, and basically that's one thing that I've done. So, for example, it's not that I'm not saying, you have to know what you're doing. Don't give these people your money. Don't give them you want to give them as little control as possible. Okay. So, for example, there will be a massive opportunity to make good amounts of money using stocks, but you have to be, you have to be diligent, and you want to use crypto. You want to protect yourself. You don't want to use cash, because, guys, if you're funding it using cash, you're going to take it. You want to get your money in, and you want to get your money out as quickly as possible, especially when, so, I mean, this course is actually for people who want that, because as the stock market begins to collapse, we must remember that in times of panic, it goes down, but optimism is important, as in all previous times. And after a huge market crash, the markets recover stronger than before. And people who invest in during the crash end up walking away with tons of profit. So, this course, basically, you'll learn how to quickly convert stocks to cash or crypto and withdraw them from virtually any ATM. You learn how to invest in stocks using cryptocurrency. You learn the benefits of investing in stocks using cryptocurrency, quick investment and conversion of stocks to cash instantly using crypto, tips for choosing the best stocks when buying crypto, and of course, how to quickly convert stocks to cash and crypto and withdraw them from any ATM. Again, guys, this is what we have for you, and you have to learn. You have to decentralize yourself from this whole thing. Okay, if you want to take this course, you can find a link to cryptomoney.academy in the description of the video. Go grab the course, because this is no game. You have to be diligent in everything that you're doing, but you have to protect yourself. You have to go off the grid. You have to cut ties with all these other wires. Don't get, or else you're going to get pulled down. Just like what Generation Z is doing. Generation Z is cutting ties with everything. They're cutting labels. They're cutting Generation Z almost doesn't even want to be called Generation Z. They're like, leave me alone. I'm just me. All right. One thing that you have to be very, very careful with actually is gold, because central banks are buying up gold. And the danger with that is it illustrates that they're the ones who hold all of it. I don't know if people seem to understand this. Why would you buy gold when it's being hoarded by the very same people that gave us fiat currency? They're basically anticipating that everything is going to crash, and they're hope and the only tangible asset, and they're also buying up cryptocurrencies too. They're also buying up cryptos. In Russia, central banks are also buying up, a variety of central banks are also buying up numerous cryptocurrencies. Yeah, guys, but hey, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Goo Monster says might get some cat food. Nature says water stocks. Oh my gosh. That's another thing, guys. Like, if you don't have water when you're homeless, like, you can, like, it's hard. It's hard when you're homeless and you don't have water. My goodness. And you don't know where to get it. Like, you have to wait hours just to get it because you don't have any money. Anyway, but sometimes people bring you water and food. Honestly, it's going to be such an overwhelming situation. I don't even know. And there's always the risk of, like, when, like, TB, like antibiotic resistant TB. Man. Anyway, listen, I've done my part. I've done my work. If you want to pick up a course and protect, and actually, not end up end up homeless, then you can find links in the description of the video. So you can not only survive, but you can also thrive. But if you're not about that life, then like I said, you can I said you don't want to do homelessness in Southern California, but if that's what you're about, be about it. Anyway, guys, that's all I have for you today. I want you guys to like the video if you really enjoyed it. And if you want to see more incredible videos like this, love Jesus, get your money, and please, please, please be good to each other. Be good to each other, because in the end, we're all each other has. I will catch you with the next one. Angry out.